I mean, that was one impressive performance. I did not see it coming. I think that was Jalen Hurts' best game as a professional.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
All right, welcome back to the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Well, we got our man who covered the game tonight down at the Link, John McMullen, joining us now live from Lincoln Financial Field. Hello, John, and what are your impressions tonight?
All good. I mean, that was one impressive performance. I did not see it coming. I think that was Jalen Hurts' best game as a professional. I think that in a modern NFL environment, guys, I don't want to overstate this, but that's as good as a cornerback can play as Darius Slay played tonight. He had a chance at 5 interceptions. He was all over Justin Jefferson, who a lot of people think is the best receiver in this league. There's not much to complain about. You can nitpick about the penalties, the illegal downfield stuff. And look, I don't think Minnesota played well. I don't think they came in with a good plan. I think, all the people who criticized Jonathan Gannon now know at least there's one defensive coordinator worse than him, because I don't know what the heck Ed Donatel was trying to accomplish. But the Eagles were good, and there's not much to criticize.
Hey, John, I love the way this offense came out and spread the wealth right out of the gate. This was not just the A.J. Brown show in this game. You got Devontae Smith involved in the game early, and I was talking about the first drive in particular. You had 3 different guys running the football, 4 different guys who touched the ball in the receiving game. And when you look at the final analysis, 8 different receivers caught the ball tonight, and I thought that was the definitive reason why they were so successful offensively against this Minnesota zone defense. Minnesota had no idea where the ball was going next.
No, they didn't. And Nick Sirianni mentioned, he used the phrase complete control for the second consecutive week for Jalen Hurts in this particular offense. Look, it was pretty clear Minnesota came in thinking, all right, we're going to make this kid throw the football. And he threw it better than he ever has. 26 for 31, over 80%. So he was the guy, all the Eagles fans say, you're letting quarterbacks throw for 80%. Last year, that's what Jalen Hurts did against the Vikings. He completed his first 11 passes. His first incompletion was 7 minutes and 1 second left in the second quarter. And that should have been caught from Dallas Goedert, and it got stripped at the last second. He was incredibly sharp. Now, there was also tremendous separation. Devontae Smith was wide open all night. We talked about him not getting a reception last week, 7 receptions this week on 7 targets. The touchdown to Quez Watkins, he was open by 10 yards. So part of it was definitely Minnesota played a poor football game. But, I mean, Jalen Hurts was really, really good, to the point you start to say to yourself, well, if he can do this, this team could be a legitimate contender.
John, it was just impressive to watch this kid, where everyone, questioned after last week, watch him operate the way that he operated. But there's got to be a balance between what he saw last week and what he saw this week and what he'll see moving forward. There are some teams that are going to pressure him. Teams see now that if they let him sit in the pocket, get comfortable, that he can operate from the pocket within the framework of the offense that they've put, at his helm. How do they move forward? Because I'm just really curious to see. I can't wait to watch, the Washington film to see defensively what they're doing and how Jack Del Rio is employing those players, because it'll kind of give us an idea of what it's going to look like next week, because he's seen 2 extremes. we're going to come after you with pure pressure last week from the Detroit Lions to, we're just going to sit back in zone and try and see whether you can make the throws where they need to be made?
Well, you're right. You hit the nail on the head, Seth. Two extremes, right? It was blitz, blitz, blitz. Today it was zone, zone, zone. I think ultimately when you get a really good defense, and I don't think the Eagles have seen a really good defense yet, it's going to be a marriage of both of those things. And I think you go back to the playoffs last year, Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay put together a great plan, which I thought other teams would sort of try to copy against the Eagles. Now it's easier said than done because you need, Vita Vea push in the pocket. You need athletic safeties that are able to sort of keep Jalen Hurts pinned in. But I thought people would try to replicate it. We haven't seen that yet. I think somebody's going to pick up that tape at some point and say, all right, this is how we defend Jalen Hurts, and we'll see. But right now, look, you can only do, you can only play against who you're playing against, right? So he got all the blitzes. He did a tremendous job with the off-schedule stuff, running the football. Today, Minnesota dared him to throw the football. He threw the football. And by the way, he also had, two great touchdown runs.
Yep.
Both of them were tremendous. So he's a very unique player. He's very difficult to stop. He's very he wears on opposing defenses. He's not traditional, though. So I think people can't get away from that. They think of quarterbacks as Justin Herbert types, Joe Burrow types, if you want to look at the younger quarterbacks. That's what they think as a traditional quarterback. Jalen Hurts isn't that, but he proved today 83%, 331 yards, whatever it was. He proved today he can beat you from the pocket. He proved last week we all knew he could beat you with his legs. He's getting better and better.
John, I think just because before we move off of that, I guess his greatest challenge will be facing a blitzing team the next time and being able to make the side adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Because I think last week the biggest question was, why aren't the Eagles making side adjustments against this pressure defense?
Yeah.
And as I watched the game, and I went back and watched the game 2 more times, and as I thought about it, I said, my goodness, the wide receivers aren't running side adjustment style routes. They're just running their routes and they're leaving it up to the protection to pick up what's going on. But moving forward, to your point, another good defense is going to look at what Detroit did to him last week, and they're going to implement a more pressure-style defense. And the Eagles coaching staff, and I don't lay that totally at Jalen's feet, because if they don't have side adjustments built into the offense based upon what he sees pre-snap, that's not necessarily on him. The only thing he can do is run for his life when they send more than they can block. But that's going to be the challenge, not only for him, but also for this coaching staff to add that package to, the blitz, because somebody else is going to take that blueprint and try to stop him.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Seth, because it is a coaching issue. Right now, this offense is, for lack of a better term, it's a college-like offense. It's 2 progressions, high, low, and then you get to the third, maybe have a little dump off to the running back, but the Eagles would prefer Jalen Hurts run the football at that point anyway, because he's more explosive than a little dump off to the running back. So you're right. If it's not built into the offense, I think a lot of people look at Jalen Hurts and say, well, why can't you be Tom Brady and do full field progressions? That's not what he's asked to do. But one of the positive things is, and you saw it today, that first read was there because Devontae Smith is open and A.J. Brown is open and Dallas Goedert is open. So the fact that those 3 receivers are so good is only going to help Jalen Hurts, because if they can win, you don't have to worry about the other stuff.
John, I agree with you. Obviously, his best game is the professional, but I'm trying to figure out the Vikings, and I'm trying to figure out their defensive game plan. They didn't make any adjustments at all and just allowed him to do what he did all game long. Why? Were you surprised at that?
No. I mean, a lot of people, Eagles fans should look at this game because the Vikings use the same scheme the Eagles do. So, when Eagles fans got upset last year, Mike, about these 80% games, 90% games in the case of Derek Carr, that was what was happening. They were playing, umbrella defense, zone defense on the back end. And if you don't get a pass rush, it becomes easy for veteran quarterbacks to complete passes. You saw today from Jalen Hurts' perspective, 83.3. And Jalen's not known for his accuracy, but when you're going to make it that easy, it turns that easy. So they didn't get a pass rush for the most part. And when that happens, and as I said, A.J. Brown was winning, Devontae Smith was winning especially, Dallas Goedert was winning, it becomes easy for the quarterback. And that's where the Eagles fans' frustrations came in with Jonathan Gannon. The Vikings got that with Ed Donatel, who runs the same defensive scheme.
Hey, John, a lot of fans out there were somewhat concerned when Darius Slay got hurt late in the game. I was told about a half hour ago that he's fine. Is that what you're hearing as well down there?
Yeah, he's fine. Darius talked after the game. He kind of waved on Zach McPherson. And then when the Vikings had the turnover, got inside the red zone, he waved it back off, went back in the game. So, Darius, I shouldn't call him Darius, I'll get in trouble. Slay, he had a chance at 5 interceptions.
Yep.
He had a chance at 5 interceptions. There were in old school, you guys have been watching the league for a long time. Seth played. You've seen a lot of great corners, but it's different now because everything is shifted towards the offense. Everything's geared toward the offense. It's very difficult for cornerbacks to have that kind of dominant performance in the modern NFL against that receiver who everybody thinks is, if he's not the best receiver in football, he's right there with Devontae Adams. I can't give Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was spectacular, and I can't give him the player of the game because Darius Slay was so good.
Yeah.
Well, John, listen, that's a great win. That was very impressive Monday Night Football win, and now they're on the map as one of the good teams in this league, I think. Is it too soon to jump to that conclusion?
No, well, I think it is because it's young. We've seen, in the NFL things happen early in the season. You see these swings. I mean, Minnesota thought they were good coming out of dominating Green Bay, and then they show up here and they play like this. So there's still a long way to go. But the first 2 games have been, great from a coaching perspective because if you think about Detroit, they had the 7-point lead. They lost it. You hang on to win the game. The coaches can sort of have a bunch of teaching moments, complain about things, nitpick about things. And then today they dominated it, but you have all the penalties. You still have that illegal downfield stuff that harkens back to last year. Devontae Smith got the OPI on a rub route. The Eagles got a bunch of those last year. Holding penalties, false starts. So there's stuff for the coaching staff to say, look, guys, you've got to tighten this up. So it's a good situation for the coaching staff, and the Eagles are 2-0 going into the first NFC East game. I think it's clear that they're the best team in the NFC East, and that's your first goal. That's always your first goal, Seth. Win your division, and if you win your division, you're going to be in a position to do some things in the playoffs. The Eagles look like the class of the NFC East.
Hey, John, I'm looking at Miles Sanders 8 days into the Eagles season. I'm seeing a much more decisive runner, a more authoritative runner. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Miles has got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's in a contract here. We all know it. He's had some injury issues the past couple of seasons. He's gotten this reputation of not being able to be the sort of bell cow back, which I don't think the Eagles want. I think they want a rotational system, but he's clearly their most talented runner. And they need him. You know, one of the nitpick things I'll say, this game was over, and they did a design run to Jalen Hurts late in the game. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm in the camp that you can't legislate injuries. You can't prevent injuries. But that's just dumb to have this game totally in control. Just hand the football off, whether it's Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell, whomever. Just hand the football off traditionally. But Miles is a good running back. I think, you know, people skipped steps early in his career when he had the good rookie season that kind of went a little bit too far. And I think now it's like the pendulum theory. Now it's gone too far the other way. And they think he's not a good player. He's a good running back. He's not great, but he's a good running back.
John, listen, thank you for hanging in with us. I know it's a late night, but very impressive win, and we'll talk to you next week.
Get some sleep, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's John McMullen
Appreciate
live
it.
from Lincoln Financial Field as the Eagles just dominate the Minnesota Vikings night. 24-7. We still have game balls to give out and a whole lot more on the Eagles postgame show, sponsored by Pond Lehocky and JAKIB Sports. Back after this.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.